It's going to take time. It's very important that you as the family member set those boundaries, and you are absolutely entitled to do that. You owe her nothing.
Yeah, and I think that, Nick, I like that you're starting off with the assumption of innocence to say, hey, listen, yes, this person's in recovery. That's a good thing, and you want to reward that. And I understand as a family, it's like, hey, this person changed their life. They came out here to Vegas because they're healthy now, and we were part of the reason they got healthy. You know, they wanted to be a part of this family. Excellent. And I think that there's a maintenance that's required, because just because she's turned a corner, now she's healthy, doesn't mean that you 3 or 4 in your household are also ready to turn that corner and have a healthy relationship with her. So I think family therapy is fair to set down as a condition. I would be thoughtful about how you impose boundaries. Some people do all or nothing, and they'll say, nope, we're not going to see you or talk to you or be a part of your life until we go to family therapy. That can be a little bit nihilistic, a little all or nothing. I don't necessarily think you should start there.
Well, and one of the things, I used to work a lot with families back at a job I had back in Iowa, and we had family group every Tuesday night. So the people in our rehab program were there with their family members, and we had one big group. And one thing that I would really stress to the family members, when the addicts and alcoholics were not in the room, when it was just the family members, I would really stress to them, it's awesome to set boundaries, but never set a boundary that you can't enforce.
Yes.
Because if you set a boundary that you don't mean and that you can't enforce, you're doing harm.
Yes.
Because essentially what you're going to do, like, I would have a wife tell her husband, if you drink one more time, I'm going to file for divorce.
Right.
And that's perfectly fine.
If you can back it up.
If you're going to do it. But if you set a boundary and then they cross it and you don't follow through, what did you just teach them?
Yes.
You just taught them that you don't mean what you say.
Yes.
So any boundary you set, make sure you're willing to follow through with it. And this is the difference between setting a boundary for protection, which is what we're supposed to do. We set boundaries for our own protection, versus setting boundaries as motivation.
Yes.
Setting boundaries as motivation tends not to work very well.
Right.
If I tell them this, then that will motivate them to change their behavior.
Yeah, that's another form of manipulation, whereas a boundary that kind of crowds them into good behavior is different. So another thing I'd come alongside Nick on that is, I want you to look up something for me, Anonymous who wrote this. I want you to look up something called SMART goals. And that's the acronym SMART, and that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound goals. And what that means is it's a different way of thinking about the things we put in front of ourselves. And it goes back to what Nick said about enforceable boundaries. So boundaries that you might want to put in front of your mother-in-law might be something like family counseling. It might also be something like meetings, like, hey, we're available to see you on the weekend if you hit 3 meetings this week and, you go to AA. Or it also could be location, and you could say, hey, we're available to see you at our house because I don't like the kids being over at your house. You bought beer for their dad. That's not kid-focused activity. I want you to be at our house. Or it could even be the kid-focused thing. You could say, hey, we're available to be around you as long as the children are the reason that we're coming together. The occasion should represent the presence of the kids. But these are some ideas of smart goal setting that's, intelligent boundary setting that's not trying to motivate them, but is trying to sort of create a space of safety. And I think that you're entitled to that. So you're doing nothing wrong. It's the right thing to do, and strongly encourage it. I think it's the right thing to do. And don't be afraid to go out and reach out to a substance abuse counselor, even for your family, because they can really give you that behind-the-scenes kind of information about what's helpful. There's actually a great book out there, if you want to pick it up, called Boundaries. And it's just about setting those smart boundaries with people in your life who are trying to get some more real estate in your world, and maybe you need to put up a fence. Mm-hmm. Very good. All right, so we've got another question here, Nick, and this is a good one, also anonymous. So Anonymous has written us 3 times. I'm sure that's a plurality of anonymi.
Probably.
I believe the plural of anonymous is Illuminati. Is that how that works?
I don't know, but I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Yeah, so this one is a third anonymous writer, also from the website. Again, if you'd like to submit a question or even give advice to the questions you've heard today, find this episode on podtherapy.net and just comment. You can comment as much as you like, and the readers and the folks that write these questions love to get that advice. This question is called, How Can I Repair My Self-Esteem? And it reads, My question is simple. How do I build confidence? I want to feel good about myself, my actions, and my behavior. But 90% of the time, I feel like I'm not enough and that everything I do is wrong. I just want to have fun and let go and be me and not give a crap. I take everything so seriously. How can I get to a place where I'm feeling good about myself and my actions and not constantly hearing negative self-talk in my head that wears me down?
Okay.
We can all relate to that, right, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. This one I can totally relate to.
Yes.
As a man who's lived most of my life with low self-esteem and very little confidence, I can relate to this 100%. My confidence that I have is actually pretty new. I would say I've been kind of working on building my confidence over the last 2.5 to 3 years. My confidence is still on lease, essentially.
Okay, I like that. Lease to own.
Exactly.
Yeah, at least I'm still paying it off.
Buy.
Yeah, the bank still owns my confidence. Yeah.
But this is a very common thing, and confidence is something that can be developed. It absolutely can. So I can give you some ideas, some things that worked for me, right? Number one, I would say take a look at your inner dialogue. We find what we look for. So when I'm hearing you say things like that I'm not good enough or that I'm doing everything wrong, if that's what you're looking for, that's exactly what you're going to find.
Sure.
I would really encourage you to set a daily goal of like checking in with yourself on a daily basis, even an hourly basis, if you need to. Set a reminder in your phone. And when that reminder goes off, I want you to think about what is one thing that I'm proud of myself for doing within the last hour.
Yes.
Because there's all sorts of things that we are doing well, that we are making progress. But the problem is that most of the things that we do for ourselves that are very important, no one else notices.
Right.
And if we rely on other people to say, hey, this morning I woke up at 5:30 to get to the gym. I didn't want to, but I forced myself to do it. And when I got there, guess what?
Right.
No one said, hey, good job.
Yeah. Nobody high-fived you.
No one noticed.
Not one person.
That I did that.
Nobody noticed it.
But I did.
Right.
And it's because I have trained myself, because I have practiced this over and over. I look for things to congratulate myself on.
Right.
And when I do that, I feel amazing. I feel good. And it doesn't matter if anybody else notices. I noticed, and I feel good about that.
I think that's huge.
So that would be number one. Number two, I would say start with the things in your life that you feel confident about and do those more often. Time is a zero-sum game, right? So if we're spending more time in one area, that means we have less time in other areas. Devote as much time as you can to things that provide you confidence, things that you feel really good about, and that confidence is going to start to leak into other areas of your life.
That's a great piece of advice.
Yeah. Number three, I would challenge yourself about using words like wrong and failure.
Yes.
If you do something wrong, that is just feedback.
Yes.
That's all it is. It's information that's pointing you towards the right answer.
It's like stubbing your toe on the table.
Yeah. It's
all it is.
As the best advice my father ever gave me. So what'd you learn?
Right. Every time you get hurt, what'd you learn from
What'd you learn?
Yeah. Don't do that again.
Yeah. So and that's how we succeed, right? So if we look at it from that perspective, there is no failure.
Right.
Like the saying about Thomas Edison inventing the light bulb, like he didn't fail 2,000 times. He learned 2,000 ways how not to build a light bulb.
Right.
Right.
I think that's good.
Yeah. Number four, take a look at the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
That's a big one. If you're surrounding yourself around people who are pessimistic, you naturally are going to kind of draw towards that. And, when we spend a lot of time with other people, we start picking up on their mannerisms. I start talking like Jim.
Yes.
Which irritates the hell out of me.
You sound so smart lately. Ever since we started this podcast, I feel like your spirits are up. No, but Nick, number 4 is a great point. I feel like, thank you. I'm in your life more. There
you go.
And you mentioned your self-confidence as a recent thing. I assume this is not a coincidence, You're welcome. You're welcome.
Is a great segue into number 5.
Don't be friends with Jim.
Give compliments.
Oh, there you go.
Because a lot of times social anxiety we have when we communicate with other people, if that's the source of our low confidence and low self-esteem, having conversations with people can be very difficult, which causes you to isolate.
Yes.
Which means I have fewer conversations, which puts even more weight and pressure on any conversation that I do have.
Yes.
So start off with a compliment. Practice giving people compliments. The reason why is because there's almost no way that conversation is going to go bad from there.
No. You lead with a compliment.
People love compliments. And if you give a compliment, they're going to respond favorably to that. You will have a good social interaction, which will help build your confidence.
And if you're looking for people to compliment, come down to podtherapy.net and just comment, and just say, Jim, you're a great guy. Everything's so awesome. I hear you have a gnarly gray beard now, so that's fantastic. And you'll feel better about yourself.
Right.
But I'll piggyback on that, Nick, because I think that's 5 really good points. The only thing I would add to that, and this is something that Nick and I see all the time as therapists, because this kind of mentality leads to a lot of other things like anxiety and depression. And I think for us, the common denominator is we're constantly getting people to track their thoughts and also ask themselves this very simple question. Is this a feeling or is this a fact? Because those tend to be different, right? So if I feel worthless, if I therefore infer that I am worthless, that's emotional reasoning. And I'm pretty sure the IRS doesn't accept emotions, instead of figures. Like, I'm pretty sure we got to find the facts. So ask yourself, is this a feeling or a fact? And then put the feeling on trial. Ask yourself, is there any evidence that I'm worthless? Is there any evidence that I'm not as valuable as I think I am? And then ask yourself to the contrary. Is there any evidence that violates this idea? Is there any evidence that invalidates this emotion? Are there people in my life that do value me? Is there any evidence in my life recently that if I have a job, if I have a friend, if I have family members, if somebody on Facebook clicked like on my podcast, then there's a little bit of evidence that maybe I have some value that I don't feel right now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the last one, I've got number 6.
Oh, there was 6.
There was number 6. No, that's good. Do something for yourself.
Yes.
Self-care. Whether it be, trying a new hairstyle, getting a relaxing massage, updating your wardrobe.
Yes.
You are an amazing person and you deserve it. And this is something that I had to learn, and it has helped me so much. Yes. When I went through the most difficult part of my life, I felt devastated. I felt like I was worthless. I felt like I will never have another meaningful relationship ever again. I lost the most important person, and I'll never be able to reach that level again.
Right.
That is complete BS.
Right.
It is absolutely BS. And it for me, it started with I got a new haircut.
Right.
That's where it started. I went, I always used to get like the cost cutters or the standard, which isn't even really it's not a style. It's just you got shorter hair. That's all really was. And so I decided, no, I'm going to go to a stylist.
Right.
I'm going to actually get like a hairstyle, and I'm going to do something different. And I did. And Kylie, my Stylist, if you're listening, shout out to you.
Oh.
I bet she's been cutting my hair now for 2 years.
Oh, that's cool. Very cool.
And at that moment, that was very pivotal for me.
Yes.
It all started right there. I felt better about myself.
Right.
And then I started buying clothes that actually fit.
Yes.
As opposed to just getting something off the rack. I put more effort into that, and I felt better that way.
Tailored.
And and things just kind of snowballed from there.
I just want to piggyback on that. Last thought on this from me, I think that there's 2 myths when it comes to self-esteem and the way that others affect it. The first myth is that other people make us feel not valuable. And the second myth is that other people make me feel valuable. Nobody can make you feel anything. They can do things. They can be a table at you and you can stub your toe. But you've got to be the one to pull away from that and sort of analyze the effect you allow those other people to have upon you. Your self-worth is your own estimation of your value. Nobody else should be able to affect that. Start with your own assessment of yourself. And it begins with the things that Nick identified. Those are self-care items. Start with that frame of reference, and you'll see that in time, you do care what other people think, but one of the things the writer